Inaugurations are how presidents try to showcase the future. A swirl of parades and parties. Crowds watching politics through a technicolor lens. But not this time. It's troops and barriers, not fanfare. Washington feels like a fortress right now. There's a huge security perimeter in place and checkpoints everywhere you look. It's really difficult to get around. It feels like a city preparing for the worst, and the FBI director has warned state and local officials to be on high alert. A riot and a pandemic has put everyone on edge. And there's a vast search for suspects after last week's siege. Super sleuths in the suburbs are trying to monitor current possible threats.
So this is a screenshot from a Telegram group that was recently deplatformed and who just came back. And it says, January 20th, stoked the boomers' flame, encouraged armed struggle. Right immediately beneath that, we see shoot politicians, shoot politicians.
Tara says she's sharing information about explosive devices and imminent infrastructure attacks with law enforcement.
I believe that the momentum that we saw at the 6th in our capital will be amplified for the 20th of January. I'm fearful that they will be using improvised devices that can be easily concealed.
No one can afford to drop the ball in this fractious handover of power. The removal vans are in at the White House, but the worry is that the anger Donald Trump inspired could be here to stay. Cordelia Lynch, Sky News.
All right, Shalom. Call all Yahweh Bashim El Shai. Double honors to the men that I learned this truth from, starting with the apostles and elders and all the men on down of Great Millstone. Yahweh Bashim El Shai, Barakatam to the hopefully elect. All right, and just basically real quick, because, you know, they're steady finding out information concerning possible danger that could ensue come inauguration on the 20th. All right, and this is why they're ramping up security. All right, because, you know, stuff like what they said here in this clip, you know, improvised explosives and things of that nature, you know, shooting down of politicians and things of that nature. All right, you know, because basically, man, anything can go down, man, you know, and, you know, a lot of people are expecting, all hell and all chaos to break loose. But with all that being said, all right, because the main video, or the point of this video that I'm doing would be here because, you know, with all that being said, all right, you know, in light of all this information that's coming out concerning, the looming threat, what could take place come inauguration, all right, I'm carrying across this video here with the title. I'm going to play the video, but the title first, it says, "It's lethal. DC troops get green light for terrifying tactic during inauguration." All right, so let's check this out. And of course, there will be advertisement. Late in the evening, all right.
Political insider, where Rusty Weiss reports that Washington. Well, this is where we're at, folks. D.C. troops, the National Guard, now authorized to use lethal force against their fellow Americans ahead of Joe Biden's inauguration in Washington, D.C. I've got the details. Before I go further, if you're new here, tap the red button down below to subscribe. Rusty Weiss reports that Washington, D.C. is beginning to resemble a war zone as national troops numbering in the tens of thousands are armed and have been given permission to use lethal force as Joe Biden's inauguration date looms.
So you see, because I don't know how true this is, but, apparently, all these troops that they've been sending out there to D.C., man, it looks like they're given the permission, the green light to use lethal force if necessary, right? Like I said, and with all this talk with the possible threats and then the looming danger that can take place, DC or those troops, man, looks like they've been given the green light to use lethal force. So I'll play some more of this.
Looms. A statement from the D.C. National Guard indicates, quote, National Guardsmen were given authorization to be armed in support of the U.S. Capitol Police to protect the U.S. Capitol and individual members of Congress and their staff, end quote. A defense official confirmed to U.S. News and World Report that the authorization includes permission for Guard troops to use lethal force. Reports indicate that 20,000 National Guard troops are on site in preparation for anti-Biden demonstrations over the weekend. The stepping up of security efforts to include lethal force marks a significant shift in tactics from riots over the summer, which caused countless buildings to be torched and businesses to be robbed and then vandalized. Lethal force was not an issue when domestic terrorists were persistently attacking the Hatfield Federal Courthouse in Portland. In fact, many of those charged with the assault on a federal courthouse were charged with minor offenses. Republican California Representative Tom McClintock, during the impeachment debate, pointed out that had criminals on both sides of the political spectrum been treated equally, there might not have been an escalation of violence on January 6th. Watch.
He specifically told the crowd.
Okay, so yeah, that's it on that. But again, so I don't know if this is how true this is or not, but apparently it looks like they've been given the green light to use force, lethal force, if necessary. All right, because it's been prophesied, man. Of course, starting with the apostles and elders, man, the teachings, that have been taught, because at some point, man, it will get to a point where bodies are going to start dropping, and these people, man, they're going to start mowing down, these citizens, and even more so these Jakes. All right, at some point that will take place. Now, whether or not it's on it actually this actually takes place on inauguration, don't know. Just gonna have to wait and see. But at some point, man, bodies will start dropping. All right. So just real quick, because I'm on the plantation, and I don't want to make this too long-winded. Just get a few precepts that come to mind. One being another. Let me get this first before it slips my mind. Ezekiel 28. Actually, that's not Ezekiel 28. I always tend to forget this precept. Ezekiel 21, I think. I always forget this precept. Ezekiel 21. Ezekiel 21 is starting at verse because for the longest, man, this is something that has recently come out, because for the longest, it's been taught that there's going to be a lot of race wars, and that's not necessarily that's not necessarily the case, all right? Because it's not really a thing about race or whatever, all right? Because you are going to have a clash war, civil war, and civil unrest and things of that nature. But for the most part, because Jake, man, they're just going to be a casualty of war, so to say, because again, it's not necessarily going to be a thing about race, but Jake going to get caught up out there, if you don't have the hedge of protection from Yahweh Shemel Shai, you're just going to end up being one of those casualties, but let me get this, and I'll start at Ezekiel 21 verse 3. It says, And say to the land of Israel, thus saith Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, and will draw forth my sword out of his sheath, and will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked. All right, you know, the sifting. All right, because the Lord's getting ready to separate the righteous from the wicked. All right. You know, because you know, a lot of people are playing around with this thing, man. You know, and just playing around in general. You know, and Lord's is getting to a point where he's getting ready to he's not going to do no more talking. All right, he's going to be about that action real soon. All right, so he's about to start handing out judgments left and right. All right, you know, and we just hope and strive to be in good grace when the Lord closes the ark. You know, the spiritual ark. That's, you know, that's being sealed right now. You know, we just hope to be on the good grace of Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, but the time is coming, man. Verse 4 says, seeing then that I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked, therefore shall my sword go forth out of his sheath against all flesh from the south to the north. All right, because there's going to be judgment on all sides, man. You know, left, right, up and down, north, south, all over. All right, because again, you know, eventually we'll get to a point where bodies are going to start dropping out here. You know, there's going to be heaps of bodies, piles of bodies, man. You know, seeing dead bodies and people getting dropped, man. That's going to be a normal thing, you know, in the very near future. All right, death is going to be very common, you know, because, you know, people, you know, you think death is common now. Well, again, you know, seeing people get mauled to death, that's going to be a regular thing very soon. Verse 5, it says that all flesh may know that I, Yahweh, have drawn forth my sword out of his sheath; it shall not return anymore. All right, because even more so, you know, being that the sword that is getting sharpened, that I'm getting ready to read. All right, this sword that's getting prepared. All right, and part of that judgment of Yahweh Shem Shai is Esau Edom. All right, you know, a lot of the judgment that the Lord's going to be handing out is going to be in the form of these you know, military troops, and you know, when they start mauling down people. All right. Jumping out of verse 9, it says, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh, say a sword is sharpened, and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree. Because like I said, you know, the time is coming, man, you know, because like I said, man, you know, Jake, man, more so, you know, Jake is not taking this serious, man, and they're still playing around with this thing. You know, and this is definitely not the time to be not taking Yahweh Shem Shai serious. All right, this is definitely not the time to be not, you know, playing around move, man. You know, where was I at? Verse 11 it says, and he hath given it to be furbished, that it may be handled. The sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. All right, because the Lord is about to give, just like the like I said, you know, the DC troops have been given the green light to, you know, use lethal force. Well, Yahweh Shem Shai is getting ready to give the green light for, you know, Esau to make his move. All right. You know, knowing that Esau, he has but a short time. All right. You know, he's making his moves, you know. And again, you know, ultimately, it all goes back to Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, this is the Lord's movie. All right. This is his will. All right. But there was another one. Oh, where's that? Ezekiel 9 and 4. All right. Because when we tell you bodies are gonna stop dropping, man. Again, like I always say, man, our words, you know, the words that I speak, man, and they'll never do justice until it's actually hitting, and you know, you see these things in real time, and you know, the words that I speak, man, they'll never do justice enough. So Ezekiel 9 and let me read verse 4, just, you know, for the simple fact that, like I said, like I read, you know, the Lord separating the righteous from the wicked. All right, now this is concerning the righteous. Ezekiel 9 and 4 says, and Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. All right, so these are the ones that are actually taking Yahweh Shem Shai serious, you know, and not playing around with this thing. Because like I said, you know, for the most part, you know, just concerning Jake whatsoever, man, they're not taking things serious. They're still in that spirit of, you know, folly and messing around, right? And this is why the Lord, he's getting ready to hide himself and hide his face, all right? Because best believe, man, when the Lord starts executing judgment, all right, you know, like I always say, man, you know, Jake has a bad habit of seeking Yahweh Shem Shai when it's too late and they're already getting judged. You know, and a lot of times, a lot of cases, man, the Lord, being that he's so merciful, even with that, man, he'll still end up, you know, showing us mercy. All right, but that's not going to be the case when it's all said and done. And like I said, you know, the Lord closes the, you know, he seals the ark, all right, and closes the doors of mercy, all right, because best believe, man, you know, if you're paying attention, man, you know, more and more, man, you know, we, you know, we we're definitely at the end of this thing, you know, being that what's going on with all this stuff concerning the media, all right, um you know, like they basically banned Trump on all these platforms, all right. I believe out there in Uganda, if I'm not mistaken, they disabled the internet, you know, as well as other places. And supposedly, you know, a lot of those guys that stormed the DC, they I saw something along the lines of how they stole like secret documents or something. They stole like laptops or something, you know. um and basically, all in all right, because all this stuff, you know, eventually, man, is going to get to a point where they're just going to, you know, shut this whole internet down, you know, possible uh hack and stuff like that. You know, they're just eventually they're just gonna shut the internet down in itself. You know, you got these blackouts going on, you know, throughout and whatnot, that they're not really reporting on. All right. Um, but like I said, you know, because basically, all in all, man, you know, the famine of the word, you know, Amos 8:11 is getting ready to take place. All right, and martial law is getting ready to be instituted because, you know, like I said, you know, the events that could you know, follow after what takes place on inauguration, you know, it could very well, you know, lead to martial law, you know. And like I said, you know, with that being said, you know, they shut the internet down, the famine of the word, and you know, martial law being instituted. All right, that right there, that's, you know, that's when you know the Lord has sealed the ark, you know. And there's that's it, you know. Once the Lord hits the kill switch, that's it. All right, once he shuts the prophets up, that's it, you know. So again, because, you know, I was saying that you know, Jake has a bad habit of, you know, when all this stuff starts popping off, all right, you know, Jake, they're going to be looking for the prophets. They're going to be looking for Great Millstone, the men of Great Millstone, and searching for these videos and looking for the prophets on the highways about, and all that stuff is going to be null and void because, again, you know, the Lord's he's going to cut all that out. All right, so because, you know, like I said, this is the time now to be, you know, getting it while you can. All right, you know, but like I said, you know, Jake, for the most part, man, they're not taking it serious. All right, they're still, you know, messing around and in that spirit of just being in folly, you know. And these are the jakes that are going to end up getting caught up out there. All right, that's when you read verse 5. It says, "And to the others," he said. And so this is concerning the jakes that are not taking it serious. All right. And to the others, he said, "In mine hearing, go ye after them through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly, old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark." All right. So, yeah, man, anybody can get it, you know, at this point, you know, when it's all going down, man, anybody can get it. No one's exempt. All right. Old women, men, your grandmothers, grandfathers, grandparents, pregnant women, children. All right. Anybody can get it. You know, in you know, during that time. All right. No one's exempt. All right. It says, "And begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house." All right, so this is what's getting ready to take place. You know, a great mowing down, man. You know, Jacob is about to get slaughtered, and the Lord is about to give, you know, these devils the green light. I'm trying to think. There's it's the precept at the back of my mind where it talks about the sword. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. Because like it's read in Ezekiel 21, you know, where it said the sword is being sharpened. All right. There's another precept that talks about how the sword is not going to be, I think this is it. Romans 13:4. Let's see. Let me see context of this. Romans 13:4. It says, "For he is the minister of the Most High, to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain." All right. So you see the sword that's being sharpened. All right. You've seen these troops being moved throughout and whatnot. A lot of people are, videos being passed around of different cities where the military is being deployed. I believe out here, if I'm not mistaken, in Florida, they're deploying troops. Or it might be Delaware somewhere. They're deploying more troops out there into DC. All right, they're moving troops around. All right, you seen all these convoy combat vehicles or whatnot, military vehicles or whatnot being moved around and whatnot. All right, all this is gearing up. All right, the sword that's being furbished. All right, that flood that's getting ready to come in and sweep this place. All right, pursuant to Isaiah 59:19. All right, the sword is getting geared up, and it's not going to be in vain. All right, this sword that the Lord is getting ready to, you know, dish out. All right, it's not going to be in vain. All right, it says, "For he is the minister of the Most High, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil." So you see, all right, because again, concerning Esau, Edom, all right, they're just one of many forms of judgment used to execute vengeance for Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right, that's why I say he is a minister, for the Most High. Whether he knows it or not, whether he believes it or not, Esau, Edom, all right, they are a pawn for Yahweh Shemel Shai, and they're going to be used as judgment to execute judgment for Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right, so this great slaughter is getting prepared, man. All right, there's going to be so much bodies dropping out here. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Look this up real quick. Let me see what this says. Revelations 19, because this is more so going into when when Yahweh Shai shows up. But nevertheless, all right. I'm gonna read this Isaiah Revelations 19:17. It says, "And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh the flesh of all men, both free and bonds, both small and great." All right. Now again, because this is concerning, when Yahweh Shai shows up, and after the nuclear missiles have destroyed this place of America, and as well as hit other parts of the earth, and there's dead bodies everywhere and whatnot. This is ultimately what it's going into, but nevertheless, all right, because even before when that takes place, all right, there's going to be so much dead bodies, in the streets here in America before this place is completely and utterly destroyed. There's going to be so many dead bodies, all right? This is why you're going to have, the fowls of the air. They're going to be feasting, all right? The Lord promised the fowls of the air, the unclean birds or whatnot. He promised them a feast. There's going to be so many dead bodies, because bodies going to be dropping left and right, all right? There's another one also in the second Esdras. See if I can look for this, where it talks about, what does it say? What does it say? Bear with me. It's either here or in the 16th chapter. But what does it say, man? Let me try 16. Because it's right there on the tip of my tongue. Can't make it out, but if I see it, I'll know it. Okay, let me read this. Yeah, I think this was it. Let me read this. 2nd Esdras 16 and 18. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, and beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? All right, because it talks about how the people are talks about how men, people are gonna be dying in the wars. That's what I'm looking for. Verse 22 says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So you see, because again, bodies are going to be dropping left and right out here. Verse 23 says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. So you see, there's going to be so many bodies out here. It's just going to be piles of bodies, And like I said, there's going to be so many bodies out here, man. These birds, man, these fowls of the air, man, they're going to be having a feast, all right. Because best believe, man, when the famine comes, all right, these birds, man, they're definitely going to be feasting, all right. There's not going to be no famine for these birds, these fowls, all right. It says in the other Slakia, it says, for the earth shall be wasted and the cities shall be cast down, all right. Yeah, because more and more, man, as things intensify more and more, man, because like I said, there's gonna be martial law, all right. Like I'm looking for. It talks about how the men are gonna be dying in the wars. I think this might be it. This might be it. I'm gonna jump down to verse 32 says, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travail therethrough. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms, and women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. Why? Because the Lord's going to be killing a lot of people. And that's going to make a lot of these women widows. They're going to become widows, and they're going to be left out there with no protection. All right, concerning the 2/3 women, or of course, all right, because a lot of some women are going to get freed up just to come across one of the men of the Lord. All right. But for the most part, a lot of these women are going to end up, becoming widows, because the Lord's going to be killing all these men, killing all these people in general, but killing off a lot of these men. Verse 34 says, in the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. All right. And again, because more so going into the World War III. All right. Because there's going to be a draft, and a lot of men are going to get sent off to the war, or to fight off in the world wars, right? A lot of men are going to end up dying there. But again, even more so before that takes place, just here in the streets, when these the civil unrest pop off, and the military, when they start gunning down people and whatnot, and people start getting hauled off to concentration camps, best believe a lot of people are going to die in these concentration camps. All right, like I said, the famines, all right. The sword, man, is coming to bring that destruction, nevertheless. All right. So, again, man, man, like I said, because this may not necessarily take place come inauguration, but eventually it will get to the point that, bodies are going to start dropping left and right. People are going to start getting mowed down. All right. So, just going, wait and see what happens. But nevertheless, you know, concerning the topic at hand, all right. those troops, man, they've been given a green light to, use lethal force. So, just waiting to see how this plays out, But, yeah, that's pretty much all I had. So with that, I'm going to give all credit once again to Yahweh Shemel Shai and the double honesty, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And until next time, Lord's will, I say shalom.